Hey, this is Ruben. In this video, I'll give you an overview of the Rhino User Interface. You will learn about the viewports, the menu bar, the command line, and all the other elements that make up Rhino's interface. In later videos, we'll go over techniques that will allow you to use Rhino more efficiently, but first, we need to cover the basics, so just stay with me and we'll get to the fun stuff later on. If you are new to Rhino, just remember, you don't need to understand everything the first time around. And you can always pause the video or rewind 10 seconds by pressing the J key on your keyboard. When you open Rhino, you are presented with the welcome screen. On the right-hand side, you'll find Rhino-related tips and news. On the left side, you select the units you wish to use for your Rhino model. Since I'm based in the US, I will choose inches. If you decide to change the units later on, I will show you how when we go over the status bar. Before we dive into the user interface, let's talk about units for a second. No matter what 3D software you're using, you will always want to create your model in 1:1 scale. A really cool thing about Rhino is that it will let you input any units you want. So even now, when I've chosen inches for units, I'm able to draw geometry using other units. Say, if I wanted to draw a line that's 3 feet and 2 inches long, I simply start the line tool and type 3 feet 2 inches, followed by enter. Or if you want to draw a line that's 1 meter, same thing, just start the line tool and type 1m, enter. Now, when I measure the length of this line using the length tool, Rhino will report the length of the line in inches, because those are the units that I chose from the welcome screen. This also means that if you don't enter a unit when you're drawing, Rhino will assume the units to be inches. Okay, moving on to the user interface. The main part of Rhino's interface is occupied by the viewports. Rhino loads with 4 viewports, but you can have as many or as few viewports as you like. I'll cover that in another video. The standard viewports are top, front, right, and perspective. The first 3 views are flat 2D viewports, like drawing on a piece of paper. The perspective view is a 3D viewport that allows you to see objects in 3D. You can resize the views by dragging the boundary between the views, and you can maximize and minimize the views by double-clicking the viewport label. If a viewport is maximized, you can switch between the views by clicking the tabs in the bottom left, or you can cycle through the views by holding the Control key and pressing the Tab key. To navigate a viewport in Rhino, you click and hold the right mouse button. In 2D views, this will pan the view. In 3D views, it will orbit the view, similar to spinning the camera around your model. To pan in a 3D view, hold Shift while you click and hold the right mouse button. You zoom in and out in your views using the scroll wheel. If you don't have a computer mouse, you will need one quickly in order to work efficiently in Rhino. If you lose track of your model in a viewport, simply left-click this icon and Rhino will zoom out to show all of your geometry in the selected view. At the very top of the screen is the menu bar. Here you'll find every tool and command in Rhino organized by categories. As you can tell, Rhino has a lot of tools. This might seem overwhelming at first, but you really don't need to know every single tool in order to use Rhino. I like to think of the menu bar as a dictionary. You don't read a dictionary from start to finish, but it's a great place to look things up. So let's look something up. Let's create a line. Lines are categorized with curves. So I click curve in the menu and the drop-down will reveal all the tools related to curves. I will select the line subcategory and then single line. Let me draw a line in the top view. I'll explain how to draw lines in about a minute or so. As you get more familiar with Rhino, you can explore the menu bar and try out more tools. You'll realize that the tools are very logically organized, and you will usually be able to find the tools that you're looking for with just a few clicks. Below the menu bar is the command line. When you click an icon or select a tool from the menu bar, you are sending a command to Rhino. Rhino will respond by writing the name of the command in the command line. If an action is required by you, Rhino will let you know in the command line. If a tool has special options, those will be presented in the command line as well. And if a calculation is performed, Rhino will present the result in the command line. Let's see this in action. I'll once again create a single line. From the menu bar, I'll select Curve, Line, Single Line. The line command is sent to Rhino. Rhino shows that it is now running the command line. In bold, Rhino is asking us to pick the start of the line. In parentheses, Rhino is also listing the options for the line command. Let's leave the options for now and move on with the command. In order to continue, we must respond to Rhino's request, so I'll left-click somewhere to define the start of the line. The command line updates and Rhino is now asking for end of line. Left-click where you want the line to end. We've now successfully completed the line command. A line has been drawn between the starting point and the end point that you chose. The command line now reads command colon. This means that Rhino is ready for your next command. Instead of clicking an icon or selecting a tool from the menu bar, we can also write the name of the command in the command line. Let's make another single line, this time using just the command line. In the command line, write the command line and press enter. Rhino will now execute the line command, and you can draw the line following the steps that we just went through. After using Rhino for a while, you'll probably know the name of the commands that you're using the most. Sometimes it's faster to write the name of the command in the command line instead of finding the tool in the menu bar. Should you launch a command by accident, you can always press escape on the keyboard. This will cancel out of the command. When the command line reads command colon, everything is back to normal. Below the command line are the tool groups. Tool groups are a collection of tool icons organized in tabs. This is kind of a graphic version of the menu bar, but the tools are organized in a way that is more suited to specific workflows, and honestly, sometimes it's more intuitive to click an icon than it is to locate a tool in the menu bar. All icons come with a tooltip. A tooltip is a brief explanation of the tool. Just hover the cursor over an icon for the tooltip to appear. If you have a specialized workflow and you are using the same tools over and over again, you can make your own tool groups with your own selection of tools. I'll save that for another video. The sidebar on the left shows the icons of the most commonly used tools. The icons in the sidebar will change based on what tool group you have selected. The combination of tool groups and sidebar will cover pretty much every tool that you will need for a specific task, whether you're working with curves, surfaces, solids, meshes, or rendering. I'd like to go over the icons a bit more in detail, so let's go back to the standard sidebar by selecting the standard tool group. You may have noticed that some icons have two tooltips. This means that the icon can launch two different commands depending on whether you left-click or right-click the icon. Most icons with double functionality refer to tools that are closely related. If you left-click this icon, you'll launch the polyline command. If you right-click the icon, you'll launch the line segments command. Let's try the polyline tool first by left-clicking the icon. Click where you want the line to start, create a few lines, and press enter or right-click to finish the tool. Next, I'll try the line segments tool. I'll right-click the icon and draw something similar to what I just made with the polyline tool. The zigzag lines look similar, but when I click the lines, you'll see that my last line is made up of individual line segments. You've probably noticed that some icons have a gray triangle next to them. The triangle indicates that there's a group of tools available for this icon. If you left-click the icon, you will launch the primary tool for this icon, in this case a circle. If you click the triangle instead, Rhino will open a pop-up menu with all the ways that you can create a circle. That's 10 ways of creating a circle. Drawing a circle in 10 different ways may seem a bit excessive, but there will be situations where the first option simply isn't going to cut it. So now you know where to find the other options. On the right-hand side of the screen are the panels. Rhino has a lot of panels, which you can enable here, but really there are just 3 panels that you need to know at this time: Properties, Layers, and Help. Properties contain information about the selected object, like object type, object layer, and display color. As you get more familiar with Rhino, you might start to apply more properties to your objects, for instance, materials and texture mapping. This I will cover in another video. If you have a lot of geometry in your scene, layers are a great way to keep your scene organized. Layers can be toggled on or off. When a layer is off, you can't see the contents of the layer. Layers can also be locked. You will still be able to see the geometry on the layer, but you can't select the geometry when the layer is locked. The check mark indicates the active layer, the layer that you are working in. The active layer cannot be hidden and it cannot be locked. I'm using layers a lot. It's an important part of keeping your model organized. But if you're new to Rhino, I recommend that you focus on modeling and worry about layers later. New Rhino users will definitely appreciate the Help panel. The Help tab provides a description of every tool that you select from either the sidebar or the tool group. This is a really easy and convenient way to learn new tools, and I highly recommend that you start using it right away. Panels will tear off, and you can dock the panels and resize them in a configuration that suits your needs. I would suggest a split configuration with properties and layers on the top part and help on the bottom. This way you have the help panel available at all times. To tear off a panel, you click and hold the left button on the tab, then drag the tab to the left and let go. To dock the panel, click and hold the left button on the title bar and drag it to where you want it to dock. A purple field will indicate where the panel will be docked. I'll go for the bottom right of the screen. Drag the boundary line to reposition the panel. The last element of the user interface is the status bar at the bottom of the screen. The status bar shows the model units, the layer that you are working in, and a bunch of snap settings and some drawing aids. Let's start from the left and work our way through. At the very beginning of this video, the welcome screen had us choose a units for our model. We chose inches, so that's the unit shown in the status bar. Let's just assume that I chose wrong and that I would like to change the model units without starting a new file. I'll make a quick line here for reference. I'll create a single line with a length of 36 inches or 3 feet. Now, to change the units for your model, all you have to do is right-click in the unit field and select Unit Settings from the pop-up menu. From this window, you can pick whatever unit you prefer. I'll choose feet. Rhino will now ask if you want to scale the model, and it'll give you 3 choices. Cancel will cancel the unit change. No means that Rhino won't scale your model. It'll simply swap out the units, so your 36-inch line will become 36 feet instead. So that'll mess up your model for sure. Yes will scale the model to match the new units and make sure that your model remains a true 1:1 scale. This is the option that we want. Now you'll see the units have changed to feet. Let's check the length of our 36-inch line. The line is exactly 3 feet, which is the same as 36 inches, so our model scale is correct. Of course, changing the scale will work with metric units as well. I could take the model from inches to millimeters, meters, or light years for that matter. Next to the units are quick layers. Left-click and select a layer from the list to make it the working layer. If any objects are selected, they will move to the layer that you select. This is a quick way to move objects between layers, but if you need the full layer panel, just right-click the Quick Layer area and the full layer panel will be activated. Grid Snap is like drawing on graph paper. Honestly, I rarely use this snap setting. The Ortho toggle will lock your tools to 90-degree angles. This is helpful if you're designing architecture or rely on 90-degree angles. The shortcut for Ortho is F8. Object Snap or Osnap lets you snap to the geometry in your model. If you right-click the checkbox for an object snap, Rhino will disable all other object snaps. Right-click the toggle again to enable all other object snaps. Normally, I only have endpoints and midpoint enabled. Last, but certainly not least, is the Gumball. The Gumball is this funny-looking gizmo that appears when you select one or more objects. Rather than using the Move, Rotate, and Scale tools from the sidebar, the Gumball combines all of these tools into one. To move your selection left or right, up or down, click and drag the arrows. The colored grid symbol can be used to move your selection freely. If you want to be more precise, you click an arrow and enter how much you want to move your object. Negative numbers will move in the opposite direction. To rotate, drag the blue arc. If you click it instead, you can enter the angle that you wish to rotate your selection. The blue arrows indicate the positive direction. Finally, you can scale an object using the square handles. If you hold Shift while dragging a handle, Rhino will perform a uniform scale. Spend some time with the Gumball. Once you learn to use it properly, it's a very powerful tool. Okay, we made it. This wraps up the introduction to Rhino's user interface. I hope you learn a thing or two. Don't forget, if you missed something, you can always watch the video again, or you can leave me a comment below. Check out the other videos in my channel, and please subscribe and click the bell symbol to be notified when new videos are released. Thank you for watching.